back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Pink. It's just going to solidify everything from Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're going to be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Avalanche immediately comes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3. So back and forth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another lovely night here at CGL for some North America action. And of course, today, going to be heading over to the Diamond Division where we're going to have ourselves a pretty good match on our hands with one of the most dominant teams that we have seen over the course of the last year or so when it comes to this division. And a team hoping to get a big upset. We got Emerald Eagles taking on Solar-Eclipse. Myself, Hunter Tane, joined by Shadowfang. And you know what? I'm pretty excited for this game. We're looking at one of the best teams we've seen in this division in such a long time. And they're already off to a 2-0 start.
Yeah, they absolutely are. 2-0, haven't dropped a map yet. Emerald Eagles kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum. 0-2, haven't won a map yet. So their first goal here has to be to just try and take a map. This is a really tough ask, honestly. Solar-Eclipse has been dominant, like you've said, but hey, no time like the present.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in a situation like this, but we live in the world of Overwatch where, hey, the bans and map picks that come through are able to change the game a pretty fair amount. It's a situation where Emerald Eagles are able to be a little more in control of their fate. As we talk about those maps, Busan is going to be the first map selected out here. Of course, that is default, and after this, it'll be loser's pick to determine where we end up going. So Busan is going to be played very interestingly since a lot of these sub points can play a bit differently, and I imagine that's going to affect the bans to some degree.
No, it absolutely should, and I think it'll give us a good idea of what the Emerald Eagles can try and do against Solar-Eclipse, because we should see a couple of different looks like you were mentioning. And, starting up with these lineups, Emerald Eagles, we're going to have Char and Jelani 3099 on that DPS line with Austin Creed running that tank, Big Tobacco running the support with Killer Man 494.
Yeah, we love to see it. We love our Emerald Eagles here, hoping for a big win today. Definitely some consistent players, but of course they're going up against the juggernauts of this division, and it will be a tough one, but it is very doable. And we got to take a look at that Solar-Eclipse squad that has done so well over the course of the last year. And look at them; they're so amazing that you can't even see them. That is how quick and how good they are at this game.
Whole team of John Cena's, a whole team of them.
Exactly. But we have this lineup before us. You got Reverts and Burtfield hanging around, Cloud Lemon over on the tank, and of course Paperclip and Synarchy hanging on support. And again, this team has done so much. They won the last 2 seasons of the Diamond Division. Heck, even earlier back in winter, they ended up winning one of the divisions of GOATS as well. And GOATS is a comp that is all about this composition of, hey, we need to focus in and we need to be all on the exact same page.
And that is something you'll commonly see from the side of Solar-Eclipse. They're all on the same page. They all have the same idea of what they want to do. And again, Reverts, Cloud Lemon, and Synarchy all been on this team for quite a while. So it's really just a matter of integrating and getting that synergy back with some of the new players.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see what the situation is going to be, as we'll find out momentarily what the bans are going to be for this very first map. Tracer, banned out by Emerald Eagles, and Ana from Solar-Eclipse. Tracer has been one of the more common bans that I have seen. Sometimes it doesn't happen this early on, but honestly, I don't blame it, because the Tracer can get away with a lot, and the Ana can be a really good deterrent character, and it stops teams from running something like that Brig Ana lineup, which can be really devastating on maps like downtown.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're trying to run like a dive-based composition. A lot of people still like the Ana Brig. It's tried and true. Even with the Kiriko Wu Yang being a more popular pick these days, but obviously having Tracer out of the lineup as well is going to make this a lot more interesting if we do go to a dive composition, because there's not really a hero that can replace Tracer. You know?
Yeah, I feel like there are some characters that can kind of replace it to some level of degree. I think Venture is the one that comes to mind for me immediately. Venture's been getting a fair amount of playtime as, slight correction, it's Moira, not Ana, which, to be fair, still falls in the same department where I have seen the Moira come out a fair amount, usually paired that up with a Lucio, so you get rid of that. And for Solar-Eclipse, maybe this is a situation where it's like, hey, we want to throw reverts out on the Genji, we don't want to have to worry about one of the support counters.
It very well could be that. It could be a thing too where they've just played Emerald Eagles enough to know, like, hey, Moira Lucio is their bread and butter. They like to run this speed rush style composition, especially with as good as Reaper is right now. You can run like a Moira Lucio Reaper based composition, and I think you could probably be pretty successful with it.
Yeah, I definitely think you can in a situation like this, where it feels like, even though we live in a world where there is still a meta, it still very much exists, there are characters that are still very strong, it is very much open to interpretation in a lot of different ways as to what you want to be able to run and what you're confident running, because it feels like more than half this roster is viable to some degree. We're just currently living in a world where characters like the Ball, like the Diva, are just extremely strong right now. Meanwhile, characters like Ramatra have kind of been slowly phased out over time. Hazard still gets some level of play, but isn't quite as dominant as they were about a month ago.
No, not at all. That survivability is still kind of crazy with the Hazard, but it seems like it's airing more towards that Diva Winston more often than not. And maybe even some Orisa still, because Orisa still is just an unkillable, machine at this point.
Always is. That's one thing that's never going to change about this game, is Orisa being unkillable. Especially nowadays, where with the way the perk system is, you're able to change out and get the shield instead, and it can kind of change up the playstyle a pretty fair amount and then allow you to play a little more defensive. But we'll see what the case is going to be, as we're still getting things squared away for this first map. But with the way Busan is, it is very much like a lot of other control maps where, like I said before, all the sub points, they play a little bit differently. It's going to be a little more wide open when you go into maps like downtown, where maybe the dive is going to be preferred. But once we get into Mecha Base, if we end up seeing it, this is where things are going to open up, like the Chunker Queen, like the Orisa, maybe even something like that Ramatra, where that brawl is going to be super prevalent.
Yeah, so like the roll of the dice as far as which point you get, it does matter on a map like Busan, because let's say, for instance, you happen to not get sub base on either map, but that's where you're good at brawl comps. If you're one of these two teams, it turns out poorly for you. I always shoot this cow when I come out the spawn personally. It's a tradition. I think the cow moves a little bit too if you actually hit it.
Yeah, every time I see the cow, I think of the video of the Reaper that shoots it and it just bounces back and forth. That's what always comes to mind. But unfortunately, not going to get to see that, because nobody's running the Reaper right now. Reverts currently hanging on the window. Obviously, nothing fully in place until we get out the starting gates, but a May Venture lineup, if that sticks, honestly, that is extremely deadly.
Yeah, this looks like this is probably your best bet for trying to deal with a ball outside of maybe like that Sombra pick, but it's still going to be tough because you got things like that happening.
Going to get going in this fight, as Reverts, for the time being, just keep hanging on to the high ground, and Char, unfortunately, already going to be eliminated. Taken out, as Reverts, unfortunately, doesn't really have anybody that can touch them here. The closest example is Venture. Unfortunately, Jelani's already taken care of, and first point easily unlocked.
Yeah, this is going to be tough to deal with, quite honestly. You got the Wrecking Ball diving in. You have Reverts just taking free shots onto people, and so far the only damage Reverts has really taken is from these Lucio Cheerios, and that's just not gonna cut it, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's really not at all. But we'll see how this first fight ends up going down, or I should realistically say second fight, but we'll see what the situation is, as we're going to see eventually Cloud Lemon going to go over to the point, cause a little bit of chaos, give Reverts a bit of an air to still kind of work around and try to find something, hitting a little low on their health, but able to stabilize Paperclip and Char. Both going to go down, Char going down early once again as Bertfield trying to pull this one back, but looks like eventually they're going to be forced out. They're close to getting the flip. Still somebody hanging around as Cloud Lemon has respawned, could be getting back into the fight. And the problem is now is that Solar-Eclipse is starting to restabilize.
They are indeed making it back into the fight. Xerneas taking down Austin Creed, and it's just kind of taking too long to really get anywhere with this composition right now from the side of Emerald Eagles. Like, they're taking such a long time to get these kills. It's allowing Reverts to just kind of sit back and free fire, as well as you've got this Genji and Ball just in your face 24/7.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to deal with. We're already 70% in entering Final Fight territory. You're walking into everything under the sun. Those mines are going to be extremely difficult to deal with. Now Cloud Lemon is just hanging up on the high ground. Can use these mines very aggressively as you see Emerald Eagles start moving towards the outside area. And Reverts just decided, nah, we're not having a last fight. That's not necessary. Please don't worry about it. It's eventually going to see them be finished off. Emerald Eagles might get the touch, but honestly, they're all going to be cleared away. Jelani's the only one anywhere close to a touch, and it looks really unlikely. So that is going to be a very dominant start here for Solar-Eclipse.
Absolutely, and I mean, more than anything, I would just say that that's just, that wasn't their map. That wasn't their sub point, you know. You had to be on some semblance of a dive comp if you were realistically ever going to deal with Reverts. And that the Widowmaker just has so much map control, it just forces you into like a little box where Cloud Lemon can just constantly slam you. Bertfield has these dashes, and Reverts is just getting these shots off on you. I mean, not to mention, you've got Paperclip on this Wu Yang throwing in all this extra damage constantly, as we know that Wu Yang does a lot of poke damage.
Yeah, I have gotten to see Wu Yang a pretty fair amount since they've been brought in. And honestly, that's not a surprise whatsoever. That's the case for a lot of the heroes that end up coming through. But I think Wu Yang's a very special case where there's a lot of uniqueness that you don't really get in any other character. A character that doesn't necessarily have to be in sightline to hit you with their primary. You know, it could be ridiculous at times, but extremely effective, as Austin Creed made that swap over to the Risa, gives them a little more sustainability. Reverts is going to need a little bit more pressure going into this right here, and you're going to see them just essentially just keep backing out, staying away as far from the fight as possible.
I mean, just honestly smart play from the Widowmaker, and the point already given up, and Emerald Eagles can't really find a target anywhere right now. By the time they actually manage to chase down Reverts, Reverts has this grapple back off cooldown.
Yeah, and Reverts is literally just hanging back, and no one is giving any pressure, by the way. This is why, this right here is why Tracer isn't in this lineup, because, oh god, that's a shot and a half. There's a reason why, because now that Tracer would be all over this Widowmaker right now, and unfortunately without it, you're going to see also Creed have to go over to the Winston, and they're going to have to go all out on the dive.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the smartest play here. I think even something like a Soldier might not be a bad shout here. It can kind of do the same thing as Tracer as far as having that high mobility and being able to go around the map. But again, you're just kind of stuck dealing with this. And Big Tobacco actually taking down Reverts early there.
Yeah, 100%, as Reverts down is going to open up the door. Cloud Lemon hoping to find somebody as Char gets extremely low, gets inside the bubble as Flip coming through. Emerald Eagles taking their first fight win as Cloud Lemon has to kind of run away a little bit. Is still able to kind of hang around, and honestly is getting away with a pretty fair amount as, yeah, going to be able to back out entirely, take the reset as the rest of Solar-Eclipse making the way back.
Yeah, I mean, good job there by Cloud Lemon, just not dying, taking some of that aggro. Getting up to the minefield, actually. Gonna have it here. Bertfield taking down Char. Reverts getting Big Tobacco, and that will probably do it.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny is still hanging around, and it's just going to be a stall game. Reverts should be able to burn away Austin Creed, who's still hanging around, as Jelani is still there as well, as Actually, Paper ends up investing that tidal wave, so that ends up being out of the picture. But to be fair, you're still gonna have 3 ultimates for this next fight, including that Kitsune Rush.
Yes, and that's the big key here because Emerald Eagles do not have the Kitsune Rush. So you have major Kitsune advantage. Big Tobacco getting close on this sound barrier, but it's still 13% away. So if you're really quick with this, you could potentially get this blade off and not have to worry about the sound barrier. So that's the big thing right now if you're Tobacco. You've got to get the sound barrier online. Xerneas goes down.
Yeah, pretty good start all considered, but Big Tobacco goes down as well, so not able to work with that beat anymore as Burtfield got rid of one. Flip does come through, though, and that's extremely important flip right there, because even though this fight is likely not going to be theirs, as Burtfield ends up being kind of thrown to the wind, still hanging around as point touch is eventually going to be given up. Austin Creed has to take the reset button, but honestly, that flip right there is the reason why this round isn't over already.
Yeah, honestly. And, losing Char and Big Tobacco right there, though, not what you want to see, because now you're gonna probably have to force out a touch here without them being there yet, because I mean, there's no way that this cast is gonna make it back to a point before this.
Yeah, they might just have to be too aggressive for a touch, as nobody's touching. Austin Creed couldn't get that Primal Rage in time. And unfortunately for Emerald Eagles, not the start you're hoping for, but for Solar-Eclipse, it is just another day at the office, taking this first map away, getting it in their favor. And to be fair, he saw a little bit of fight back against them, but Reverts really only got high pressure in one fight.
Yeah, that was the tough thing to see for most of this map, is that his Widowmaker was just mostly uncontested, just kind of free firing. Like I said, Lucio Cheerios were about the only thing that were being consistently shot in their direction. And I mean, unless your Lucio is just a monster, that's probably not going to result in kills constantly.
Yeah, it is just not. It's it's an unfortunate start to get things going, but to be fair, this is how we expected things to start out. And now it becomes a question of how Emerald Eagles is going to be able to adjust in the series, because now you can ban a little bit more accurately in this situation. Because, sometimes, the codes are available on CGL's website, but obviously we just had a patch 2 days ago. If you didn't look at them beforehand, you're not able to look and see, hey, what is our opponent running? What do they like to do? So now you got to take the knowledge you have from this first map and try to translate it over to second with not only the ban, but also their map pick.
Yeah, map pick's going to be very important here, because then that's going to lead right into the ban like you're talking about. So I would think you want to pick something where ball isn't just immediately the best thing to play, per se. And that leaves you with a few options, but man, I really think it's just going to be King's Row again. Like, if I'm just completely honest with you, I really think that King's Row is probably just what the pick is going to be here, because I feel like you don't have to worry about that Wrecking Ball as much, and you can save that Wrecking Ball ban for a later map.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. I think it's really 50-50, and I think that's one side of the 50. The other is that you might want to try to get rid of the ball here and now, just to give you some level of advantage, because the pressure is going to be a lot more on you if you're in an 0-2 situation and then have to do the ban. This could be a scenario where, hey, maybe we ban the ball, we go to an ideal map with what we want to play, force them to run something, and maybe we can tie up the series, and then we have an extra buffer map to try to figure the ball out. Because unfortunately, if they don't figure it out in this map against the ball, it's going to be really tough to believe they're going to be able to do it with the coming 3 maps, even if one of those maps is going to include the ball not being available.
I mean, that's definitely a fair point. There are a lot of options here as well. Maybe... Oh, man. Maybe you pick something like a Coliseo, but even then, I feel like ball can roll around pretty easily on that map. So, I don't know. My final vote's going to King's Row. That's just what I think it's going to end up being.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's 2 different routes you could take. If you don't end up touching the ball, I think maybe realistically, you get rid of the Widowmaker instead. Because it feels like those are the 2 ideal picks. Reverts was getting away with a lot, and you can still go to a map that is having a little longer range, but this is going to be a map that doesn't really have a lot of long range points, because we are going to be heading over to King's Row. Indeed, Shadowfang, you are correct. You will get a cookie as soon as the broadcast ends.
I am excited for that, to say the least, but I mean, when I looked at the map pool, it was the only one that made sense to me. like if I was trying to put myself in Emerald Eagle's space or whatever, and that was just the one that made the most sense because it's like, okay, we like to play our flat Junker Queen composition. At least that's all we saw in map 1. So I mean, this map made the most sense to me because you can play that comp here, and the ball isn't quite as strong as it would be on like a flashpoint. Because I think ball's really good on all the flashpoint maps.
Yeah, I would have to agree in that situation. And with it being Kings Row, obviously now you have to decide, hey, do we think the ball is still going to be useful here? You could get rid of the ball, but then the one debate you also have to have is, well, the evil I know versus the evil I don't. What happens if we get rid of the ball in a situation like this? What if they just go back over to the Hazard or the Diva, or they're just going to keep doing the same exact things, and Reaver is still able to kind of sit back and protect themselves infinitely? And this is why it's a situation where you have to be very precise with your bans. But of course, Solar-Eclipse is the one banning first, so if they wanted to go ahead and protect somebody here, the option is very present.
Yes, it very well could be. I think if I was Solar-Eclipse here, I would probably be petty and ban Lucio. Just go on ahead, do it now, you know what I mean? We are seeing a bat ban, so that's equally petty, but for a different reason.
Yeah, so can't mess around with the supports here. So now, yeah, I feel like you open it up to the fact of it being maybe your Widowmaker, but Widow doesn't have a ton of inherent value, and
Right.
I don't know if you would want to get rid of the ball here, but they're going to get rid of the ball. Which, to be fair, I don't hate it because I think maybe
No.
you're going to be in a situation where that Widowmaker is going to be a better ban for map 3, and I don't hate it. All things considered, getting rid of the ball here, trying to take the momentum here and now.
No, like I said, I don't hate it. I was just trying to like 5-hit it. You know, what do they call it? Playing 5D chess. I was trying to play 5D chess,
Exactly.
but it's like no, just play checkers. It's all right to just play checkers. You know what I mean? It's like, look, just get rid of the thing that we don't really have an answer for, because from what we saw, they don't have an answer for that Wrecking Ball. Sombra can still do pretty good on ball, but it's not as hard of a counter as it used to be, certainly. But it's hard to deal with, especially in this tier, because it requires all 5 players to just immediately blow this character up as soon as it hits the ground.
Yeah, that's the problem about balls. You either have to go all in on them or just try to ignore them entirely.
Yeah.
That's what you see some of these situations on King's Row, especially first point, where that tank is usually sitting pretty center stage, like on that corner, right on point, and everyone decides, hey, we don't have to attack this tank. This tank's probably not going to die if we go all out, so we're going to jump over that man and go and kill the backline, which is how it feels like a lot of these fights end. It either ends with something like that happening, or the tank just gets a little too big for their britches, goes in a little too deep, and unfortunately gets out of their supports' sight lines, and the supports sometimes have to drop off the high ground to try to get back, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. But this is a Solar-Eclipse team that also is very precise. They know what they want to do here, and that's why it's going to be very difficult. And if I'm Solar-Eclipse, and if I got to decide if I'm attacking or defending first, if I'm Solar-Eclipse, I'd be trying to defend first, 100%.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely how you want to do, especially on like a hybrid map where you can full hold, and we've seen it happen many a time. So it's, I don't know, there's always something really nice about just having the win conditions set when you walk out on your attack, you know? It's kind of like how in football when people have overtime, it's always like, well, it's always like you want the ball second, so that you just know what you have to do to get the game over with, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of teams that win the toss defer instead. And to be fair, me who just played college football about an hour ago, I had to receive the ball first, and I'm like, I'm gonna do bad, aren't I? I kind of did. Oh, because it's teams feel differently about it, players feel differently about it, but it feels like the main thing that reflects is that you kind of want to know where your finish line is at when you go on the attack. Because it's one thing where if you hold somebody on before a second point, it's like, oh, that's awesome. But if you get held before a second point, that pressure adds on to you, and your defense is going to feel a lot more difficult just because there is that added pressure.
No, absolutely. And it looks like we do have a couple of substitutions here as well. Looks like Dixie has come in on Dixie has come in on tank, I believe, for Cloud Lemon, and the Brown Man coming in on DPS for Reverts. So yeah, so a couple of swaps here. I actually have not seen Dixie play, so I'm not entirely sure what they are going to play on this tank line, because I feel like Cloud Lemon was doing really, really well on that last map. So maybe this is just a case where Dixie comes in and plays Orisa. You know, could be something like that.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where they come into play either, and this is me trying to 5-head as well, as you tried earlier. I think maybe a Sigma is a possibility. I think Sigma is still a really consistent hero. We see it on Kings Row occasionally. We see it pretty consistently on a couple of other maps as well, like Suka Royale, where you can kind of take advantage of a lot of these areas. And heck, with the fact that if you get that perk where that Sigma can levitate in the air for a while, I think if you're on top of the car, you can get onto that high ground. But, you know, that's just me I'm just thinking out loud a little bit here, because obviously with them coming in, this is your player that can probably play more of the consistent brawl tanks.
It could be a case of seeing that Zarya too. We've seen a lot of that Zarya Reaper comp. We've seen a lot of that Zarya Reaper comp making its way into the upper open division that we have here in CGL. So I wouldn't be shocked to see something like that either. Literally, the game that we were casting yesterday, it was Zarya, Reaper, Tracer with a Kiriko and a Wu Yang, and it was doing really, really well. So that could definitely be something, because Tracer is back in the lobby now. Tracer is not banned anymore, so we could see that too.
Yeah, we've seen that Zarya combination with Venture a lot as well. They come up from the bubble, or they come up and get the bubble, and there's nothing you can really do about it. You either have to burn it all the way to try to kill the Venture, or you just kind of have to let them do their thing so you don't feed into the Zarya. But we'll see if any of those characters are going to be out the gate. We do see one colorful character as the defenders going through. Orisa on display. You can see Wu Yang, Tracer, Kiriko, and I believe that's Reverts on the Widow again, potentially. No, it's not. Hello there. The Brown Man is in on the Ash. As currently, Emerald Eagles are. I think they might think it's 2019 right now. I'm not sure.
I mean, again, this is a thing where it's like, if I knew I was playing Reinhardt, I'm not letting Orisa be on the other side. Like, I'm not allowing it to happen. Orisa's getting banned if my team is making me play Reinhardt. That's just me personally, though.
100%. But we'll see what ends up happening. Austin Creed is indeed going to come out on this Reinhardt. And this is where, if you're going to run a combo like this, Emerald Eagles has to be the aggressor every single time. Like I brought up earlier, you need to try to avoid Dixie. Unfortunately, Jelani needs to avoid Burtfield, who just kind of gets blown up as Austin Creed is in a really weird scenario, misses out on the pin. Unfortunately, there's a good chance they're not going to be long for this world. Eventually, Shield is going to be blown up as, yeah, they will go down. And this is a lot of what we saw from last map, where unfortunately, Emerald Eagles weren't striking first.
No, and it's tough to strike first with this comp. Honestly, as strange as it sounds, having this Lucio Moira, you have to be very, very decisive. You have to already know what you're doing before you really do it. So it's like a thing. It's like a thing where it's like, okay, we know where we're going to rotate every single time. So in this case, I would like to see them run into this building and get the Brown Man off of this high ground on this Ash, because you can't just let this Ash sit up here.
Yeah, 100%. But Austin Creed is over on that Ramattra now. We'll see what comes to form. And Burtfield, of all people, goes down first and foremost. So now the Brown Man's got to be able to clutch up a little bit here. And now, if you're Emerald Eagles, this is where you go all in. You have no reason to hesitate anymore. Killer Man is taken care of, and Big Tobacco, of all people, is pressuring the Brown Man on the high ground, and now is sitting with 1 health. And luckily, that Dynamite is going to miss out, so they can hang around a little bit longer as Brown Man burns themselves. Unfortunately, though, Solar-Eclipse is just hanging around, eventually getting a return. Emerald Eagles is just not going to be able to restabilize here.
And yeah, I mean, just no pressure really put onto these backliners of Solar-Eclipse. And again, it's just to me right there, Emerald Eagles needed to either all go after the Ash, or everybody's got to go after this Wu Yang Kiriko. You know, everybody has to do the same thing, though. You can't be split like that, and depending on your Lucio to go 1v1 the Ash. Like, that's not a reliable way to win this game.
Yeah, 100%. But 2 minutes down, 2 more to go, and that timer likely got to go down further. Char dead, and unfortunately had the freeze as well, as you're to see Dixie move in. I think for a moment, thought about going ahead with the Terra Surge, but obviously not necessary anymore, as Big Tobacco and Austin Creed got to run for the hills. and that looks like they'll both be able to do. But now, both teams gonna have at least 4 ultimates for the next fight.
Yeah, ton of ultimates going to be online here. Burtfield going down, though, that should be the go sign for the Emerald Eagles here. You need to get in quick. There goes the Coalescence and the Blizzard going out immediately.
Yeah, 100%. But we're going to see if you can find anything. Paperclip is going to blow up Jelani, and now Bob gets thrown in. Doesn't really get anything initially, but now it's going to hang around the back line. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. Paperclip, though, is getting a lot of pressure. So is Xerneas for that fact, as Osprey is going to go in, try to run down Dixie, who only really has the care of their Wuya now. Unfortunately, gets burnt down as well. Charge trying to bring this one back around. Already has gotten rid of 2. Paperclip trying to hang around. It looks like eventually we're seeing Emerald Eagle take this fight win away. The Brown Man is potentially not long for this role, but honestly, if I'm Emerald Eagles, just keep 3 on the point, get your capture.
No, for sure. Great fight there from Char, just kind of staying alive. Char and Killerman in particular, just having that survivability, being little cockroaches that would not die for that entire fight. And I mean, you can kind of see why that Moira ban did come through. It's just that pure survivability of that character just causing some issues for Solar-Eclipse here. And Burtfield does go down to Jelani in that 1v1. Burtfield does have the Pulse Bomb online. Dixie still has this Terra Surge as well.
Yeah, if I'm Jelani, I might be thinking about swapping up after this Pulse Bomb is out. Hopefully you want to try to stick on to somebody like Paperclip, who would 100% go down that situation, as Dixie still has a Terra Surge ready. Is probably going to have to use it if they don't get out of here shortly, but Jelani gets taken care of again. And now this is where it can get very devastating, as people are going to get cleared out more and more. Austin Creed going to have to use them Storm just to get out of there alive. But even with some of them still getting out, this means Solar-Eclipse is going to be able to stabilize, and they get the late picks, and now Archway is all theirs.
I mean, it's the same issue we were seeing last map, right? The Brown Man. Now it's the Brown Man instead of Reaperts. But there's just a hit scan on the high ground, and it's not being consistently cleared. Burtfield looking for that pulse. Not going to stick anybody with it, though.
Yeah, unfortunate scenario, as now we're going to see a little bit of an aggressive style being used here, and this is what we see sometimes in GOATs. We saw this a lot, where teams would pretty much just play right on top of that spawn room and get super aggro, and you can do that with regular comps a pretty fair amount as well. But if you're Solar-Eclipse, you're more than happy to let Emerald Eagles keep taking these weird angles, take their time and do different things, because it's just more time being drained off the clock.
Yeah, it is absolutely favorable for you in the long run. And this map flip is pretty good, though. Blizzard goes out.
Yeah, but that Terra Surge is about to be pretty fat, not gonna lie. It's gonna help get rid of Big Tobacco. Austin Creed and Killerman not long for the world. They're gonna die a little late here, as resets will come through. 4 ultimates on for Solar-Eclipse. And unfortunately, all you got is a pair of support ultimates if you're Emerald Eagles.
Yeah, the 2 really strong support ultimates, to be fair. But yeah, 2 support ultimates is gonna be tough, and you still got to clear the Brown Man off of this high ground again. So you got to go up there and deal with this Ashe. You cannot just let this Ashe fire on your team for free.
I see, but either way, those ultimates are still on board, and you're taking your sweet time. But if you're Emerald Eagles, again, you don't really get the right to take your time too much here. You got to get a fight started and start getting some of these ultimates out, because you know all these ultimates are online and ready to go. So now Xerneas is going to have this Kitsune rush, and Big Tobacco or Killerman is going to have to use their support ult just to sustain through it. And then you kind of just have to rely on the other to sustain through. Jelani doesn't get hit with the beat, as they're going to go for the aggroness once again. But Bob being thrown out, 10 seconds left on the board. It's not looking great for Emerald Eagles. Austin Creed's got to sustain. Unfortunately, they're the last person left. They're going to get pushed off the point. No retouch available, and the Archways is where the payload is going to stop. And now, for Solar-Eclipse, you are in essentially 2-fight territory to finish this map off.
Yeah, you definitely are. And as dominant as you've been so far, again, the one thing I would say is a little bit different when you're playing as the defender here as Emerald Eagles is there's not as many high grounds to try and deal with, but you're using Emerald Eagles are just so consistently using such an immobile comp that it's just hard to deal with a single character that gets on the high ground. Like, again, they were taking all these wide, just long, absurd angles because they didn't have anything that could contest that Ashe other than going up there as 5 players and pushing the Ashe out of that area.
Yeah, 100%. It is difficult to do, to be fair, but at the same time, you gotta try for it at some of these points. Because the way Solar-Eclipse is gonna play this, going to this, the Brown Man is probably gonna look for those pot shots, but you're going to see Dixie play a little quick here. They want to try to catch somebody out, and I think it's a situation where you're gonna throw all this pressure onto Austin Creed, force out a bunch of these cooldowns, someone is going to have to drop to support, and then that's when they're gonna go all out. It's very one-on-one, but to be fair, that has been working brilliantly for them so far.
Yes, and we do actually see the Ana Brig coming out for Emerald Eagles, which I like the ante. I like having the ante available to you. Even with the Suzu being available from Paperclip, having the ante online, just giving your team one more like little win condition where they can potentially secure some eliminations, I think that is definitely a good idea here.
Yep, 100%. That Sigma's coming up online. I did have a 5-head moment. I did predict the Sigma, but we'll see how effective it's going to be to get things going here. Again, Emerald Eagles still have an ability to hold onto this right here, but it's all about keeping your sustain. You got that break on a backline that's really hard to break into, but to be fair, Solar-Eclipse isn't focusing on that specifically. They are simply trying to find somebody who peeks at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it will be that simple to end this first round as Jelani is already super low. Killerman, Big Tobacco, and everybody is getting shredded apart, and Solar-Eclipse played that exactly how they needed to. They're going to be able to get this first point unlocked, and for Emerald Eagles, they should be able to get everybody for the good spawns as Austin Creed is trying to figure out what to play.
Yeah, I mean, Big Tobacco and Killerman just got split right there, and as soon as that happens, you're in one-clip territory from Burtfield, and yeah, we've seen Burtfield consistently do that. Jelani does take down Paperclip, though, so you're at least getting some positives out of that fight, but like you mentioned before, we're in essentially last fight territory. You need to win this fight under this arch if you're Emerald Eagles.
Yeah, no, you 100% have to. It is not looking great right now. You don't have anything nearly ultimate-wise. Burtfield hits one pulse bomb, and it could send it spiraling from there, because if you're Big Tobacco, Jelani, you really can't protect yourself a whole lot in this situation, and Dixie is about to have a flux, and with Jelani already down, it might not be necessary. You're going to throw it out. You're going to solo Big Tobacco, and from there, yeah, this is going to be a quick one for Solar-Eclipse. Just a couple more members to stall out. Maybe one more bit here for Char. But yeah, before it happened, it's still on the board. Solar-Eclipse is going to take this map, move up to 2-0, and so far are looking unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, another day, another map win for Solar-Eclipse. In dominant fashion, mind you. They said, we don't need the Wrecking Ball. We can run Sigma and Orisa. We're going to run double shield. That's what our tanks are going to be. The Sigma Orisa back to back. I mean, man. In Burtfield, you can see why this Tracer was getting banned out. Just absolutely obliterating the backline all map.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, difficult to deal with. And for Solar-Eclipse, is exactly how you wanted to play this. You're running your very basic style, but that is working for you right now. You're taking the aggression the moment you find any level of opening. Emerald Eagles, unfortunately, aren't accomplishing that. And while it seems like such a basic difference, it is making the biggest difference between these two teams in this matchup.
It absolutely is. I mean, you could just tell it seems like Solar-Eclipse knows exactly what they want to do, how their comp is played, what angles they need to take. And Emerald Eagles just can't really seem to figure out exactly where they want to go with their comp more often than not. Like you mentioned, they're kind of waffling about the map a large majority of the time.
Yeah, 100%. But they're going to get an opportunity here to kind of figure things out, because we're going to go for our first break of this series. But when we end up coming back, Emerald Eagles going to pick our third and potential final map, where they got to try to turn it all around. And will it happen? You'll find out right after this break.
Lots of love. Love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our matchup here on this lovely Thursday evening. Solar-Eclipse currently up 2-0 on Emerald Eagles and looking to keep their perfect season going right here. They 3-0'd their first two games, and Shadowfang, they are looking very poised to continue that right here and now.
No, they absolutely are a dominant force, if you will, our Solar-Eclipse right now. And I have no reason to believe that it won't continue. But the Emerald Eagles do have some options as far as map picks and whatnot to try and do a little something about this. The Wrecking Ball is already going to be off the table as far as banning it if you're Emerald Eagles, but you do still have the first ban, so that gives you some form of an advantage at the very least.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see what it's going to be like going into this ban scenario, as well as map pick as well. Obviously, most of the maps still available. We only can't see Hybrid and Control as they have already been picked. So you got things like Flashpoint still sitting by. You got Push still hanging around. But one thing we do know that is going to stay hanging around is that Wrecking Ball, is it has already been banned out back at King's Row. So it's probably going to be a contributing factor going into this next one.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it has to be, and man, you don't have a particularly good pick left to you if you're Emerald Eagles. With you banning out that ball already, most of the maps left you can get some good value out of ball on, except maybe like a Circuit Royale. Circuit Royale might be your pick here, if I'm being honest. Just taking a look at that map pool right now.
Yeah, honestly, go to Circuit Royale. Ban out the Widowmaker. I think that could work out pretty good. That is if they let you, obviously. Because they could obviously just protect ban and get rid of, like, Torbjorn or something like that and just make sure they can play Widowmaker no matter what. Because honestly, if I'm being taken to Circuit Royale and I have a Widow player, that is exactly what I'm doing if I have that first ban active. But we'll see here soon what it's going to be. But Shadowfang, you brought up this map as a potential one earlier, and it's going to be coming reality before our very eyes. The third and potential final map of the series is going to be Colosseo, heading over to Push, where that ball, I think, still has a really good possibility of coming into play. It could be really effective, especially once you get out of that center area where the high grounds start becoming more of a factor.
Yes, there's a lot of space for ball to move around in. Like, the thing I always look for when I'm saying whether this is a ball map or not is there space for ball to just get at top speed, do these slams, swing around the map, just be a general nuisance. And with there being no wall on Colosseo anymore, yes, this makes this a really good Wrecking Ball map. The Tracer ban is not going to be available either, so that's the thing. You're stuck with Ball and Tracer. Those are two things that are a definite. That is what is about to happen here. So outside of that, I think honestly, you probably just have to ban out this Orisa right now. Like, that probably has to be your play. I can't think of anything else you might do here. You could ban the Wu Yang, you could ban the Kiriko, but I don't feel like those have been the things that have been really making you struggle so far. And there go the Wu Yang ban. Again, not necessarily a bad choice. Wu Yang can sit at the back of this map and just fire off those water balls 24/7, so I don't necessarily dislike the pick.
Yeah, plus it's been combined quite a bit with their Tracer and just kind of letting them go full and aggro, and at that point, it's hard to really stop it. But now Hazard is the ban for Solar-Eclipse. Getting rid of the Hazard. Honestly, I kind of like it. I think it's one of those characters that can find effective value on almost any kind of map. And obviously, we don't know what you were going to come out if you were Emerald Eagles, but when you're in a situation like this, Hazard is a really good tank to pull out if you are struggling.
No, it really is, because you can run that Moira Lucio with the Hazard still and get pretty solid value out of it. It's not a bad choice at all. I think your pick here should probably be Zarya, though, if I'm being 100% honest. If you want to continue running that Moira Lucio, I see no reason why you can't do it with a Reaper and a Zarya. Like, I think that would still be very effective, and it gives you, like, a clear mission, right? None of these comps that Emerald Eagles have been playing so far has, like, a clear mission in mind that they want to do as a team. So you need to design a comp around that.
Yeah, 100%. But for Solar-Eclipse so far, it hasn't really mattered what's been banned against them so far. It's been working out really well for them. And again, this is what we expect out of Solar-Eclipse. And the question that's going to come to mind in the season, which obviously still fair play to Emerald Eagles, they can still turn this around. It is always possible. But the journey of this division is going to be what team is going to be able to stop Solar-Eclipse, because they have been that top team for so long within this division. And I'm going to take a look here at some of the teams in the NA Diamond division, see how they are doing, since we have a quick moment in time before we're ready to head into this third map. Yeah. But you have a lot of teams that are still undefeated. Cuddle Puddle is a name we recognize. Death Blossom, who did pretty good in previous outings as well, who are also undefeated, haven't dropped any maps. that's what I'm looking forward to. And I think when we end up getting into that situation where we go into the midseason playoffs here in a couple of weeks, I think that's when we're going to see the first big test for a lot of these teams that so far maybe haven't gotten the chance to play a 2-0 or a 3-0 team yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely agree with you there. A lot of these teams are looking really strong up at the top of this bracket right now, and I honestly cannot wait to see that midseason tournament. I want to see somebody really challenge Solar-Eclipse for it this season. Really give them something to work towards, because it was close with them in Cuddle Puddle, but then their finals against Death Blossom, they just swept Death Blossom. So it was like like every other grand finals. For some reason, it's always the match before the grand finals. That's the good one. And then we get to the grand finals, and for some reason, every single time, teams just sweep each other. I don't understand what happens when we get to that round, but it's so consistent.
Yeah, it feels like it's weird, and sometimes it's a product of the fact that when we go into upper final, it happens more often than not now, where the upper final ends up being the same game as the grand finals. It just tends to happen as we have one person coming back in. Reverts is coming in, but not on DPS, on support. Originally was playing that Widowmaker in map 1, is now coming in for the support in map 3. And this could be a legitimate strategy. In all fairness, it could 100% be that. But, maybe it's a slight bit of tomfoolery. But to be fair, if Reverts was hitting shots over on the Widowmaker, they could 100% go in and play like the Ana or the Kiri and probably still be very consistent mechanically.
No, absolutely. That's going to be the role where I think the skills transfer the most directly, is that from DPS over to like a flex support character. Because you see it all the time. The OWCS, you'll see the DPS players swap over to support if they're absolutely needed to, because you know where all these characters are supposed to be playing at already.
Yeah.
So like, as long as you have the mechanical skill and you know where you're supposed to be at as a support, you can definitely do it pretty easily, I think, too. And I'm expecting to see them run that Kiriko also.
100%. Maybe we can grab ourselves a nice coffee, maybe a donut before we get in there. Actually, that's ice cream. I'm down with ice cream too, honestly. Like, high key, it's been a minute since I've had a nice ice cream cone. But you know what? Maybe I'll grab one after the game. Maybe a place will still be open at this time. I'll update everyone later on the good old twitter.com. But we got to focus in on this game right here and now at Coliseum. Feels like no one really ever enters this room a whole lot, as we will wait to see what the comps are going to be. But again, I don't think the ball would be very surprising. If we saw even like the Junker Queen or Orisa come back, those would be surprising either. But for the moment, it might be double Ramatra.
Now that I didn't expect. I'll be completely honest with you. It looks like we are going to see that Junker Queen though. Why does nobody like Zarya? All right, I think Zarya is in a really good spot right now, and nobody wants to play Zarya.
No, I love the Zarya. Zarya and Junker Queen are both a lot of fun right now. That Zarya can combine really well with a lot of heroes. But we'll see what the case is. Burtfield is still over on this Tracer. Has been really consistent throughout the entirety of the series. And I like the fact that they're immediately looking to kind of bring pressure and make Burtfield's jobs a little bit tougher, as has to back out, grab the Mega Health Pack, doesn't want to use the recall too early.
Yeah, Big Tobacco being very consistent with these Cheerios, just laying down that damage. And nobody really allowing Burtfield to take these angles, which is exactly what you want to see. But I feel like Jelani should be the one looking forward, and maybe Char should be the one that turns around. But Revert's on the Zenyatta. Why didn't I guess Zen?
Yeah, being taken out by the Zen, not the most fun thing in the world, and the healing is going to be very unique, having a Lari and a Zenyatta, but that doesn't really stop Dixie from running it down, as nice stun ends up getting rid of Burtfield and being caught out. So it is winnable right now, but you still got to be a little bit careful here if you are Char. You need to try to find one more pick here to really start turning this one around. Unfortunately, Austin Creed is out, and I think the rest of the team might not be too far behind, and Char's in a really awkward spot right now, trying to get a hit.
It is a tough spot to be stuck in, because you want to go after this backline, but there's a whole Ramatra just in front of you with an annihilation.
And with that ready, it's going to clear house, and now 50 meters and counting. Checkpoint should be a formality at this point, and now for Emerald Eagles, it is so important that you respond right here and now.
And I mean, honestly, as silly as it sounds, that Sigma might be one of your best picks here because you need something to just lay some pressure down on these supports right now. And I mean,
Yep, Pulse Bomb comes out, and Burfield gets rid of 2. And Dixie clearing out a little bit more as Killerman, last remaining member, has to run for the hills. This is going to go to 80 meters. This is going to go to 90, probably even 100 meters before Emerald Eagles makes it back into this.
yeah, and you have to deal with a Transcendence, a Deadeye, and a Captive Sun. The other two I wouldn't be too concerned about, but the fact that you have to deal with a Transcendence that is essentially going to cancel out any good play that you make right here is a tough task.
Yep, now we have trading out of vaults 3. All of them used by Emerald Eagles. They do get rid of Synarchy, so you can't be too mad about it. But now this is a must-win fight. If you lose this here, I mean, it could be over right then and there as Revert will let Transcendence go. Wants to be able to get some stabilization. Things are still winnable within a 4v5. And to be fair, they've proven it in the past. They're looking to prove it once more right here. Trading out, losing out on the tank. As Burfield is looking for a potential stick here, does have a target, but isn't even trying to hit it right here. As eventually pushed back as it's going to stick. Austin Creed sitting at 1, and it's the one-man wrecking crew that is Burfield, but eventually gets outnumbered.
Oh my goodness, Burfield came close to turning that by themselves right there. But in the end, Emerald Eagles do win it out just barely. Going to take this about to midpoint. And here is the point in time that Jelani's going to have to land a stick right here because that's really the only ultimate that you have available to you. And that's a really early bubble placement from Austin Creed right there.
Yeah, but gotta make sure you're protecting everybody best you can. The cart momentarily getting moved around, but you don't want to let it go too far back. Burfield could obviously just go to the backline and start stealing it away, and might have predicted the future for a moment there as Char has been taken care of, and now you're just able to be aggressive. Honestly, you don't even have to be aggressive if you are Solar-Eclipse. You are just catching people out one after another. Austin Creed is going to go down. Jelani just has to eventually die where they're at. They're trying to get out, but it's looking a little unlikely, but it's going to be Killerman that goes down instead.
That is a tough one to lose because, I mean, you still don't really have any ultimates online, and Solar-Eclipse still has a ton, and Revert's taking down Jelani. I mean, this Zenyatta is a menace right now. This Zenyatta and the Solari, for that matter.
Yeah, it's really difficult to deal with as Dixie going to keep running down on Austin Creed, and now 120 meters and counting. This is one fight territory, and Austin Creed might have a touch with the ult.
Gonna have to use that primal, but then you've got an annihilation waiting for you as soon as you do manage to touch that point.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a last-second touch, but now you can't get out this thing for even a second. Coalescence could be the final tool, ends up being taken care of. Beat comes out online, only catches on a 2 because there's only 2 alive currently. It's Austin Creed, Big Tobacco being taken care of. You're trying to touch one more time if you're Jelani or Char, but you're taken care of, and that is a dominant win as you can have it for Solar-Eclipse. Gonna win a 3-0, gonna stay undefeated, and all but secure their spot in the midseason playoff.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really expect anything less from the team that's been so dominant in this tier for so long at this point. And it's just, oh my, I mean, I see why you ban out that Tracer early right there. Burfield just being absolutely dominant beyond map number 1. For most of the series, quite frankly. I mean, everybody from Solar-Eclipse just taking turns being dominant, quite frankly. I don't even know who to praise, honestly. You know, it feels like all of Solar-Eclipse just deserves a lot of praise.
Yeah, you do just have to praise the whole team in this situation. They have been as dominant as they have for a pretty dang good reason, to be fair, but everyone ended up being really consistent here today. They come in, they get this 3-0, they keep the confidence going, they keep the momentum going, more importantly. And if you can go into that last game being undefeated as well, you carry all that momentum into the playoffs. You're able to face one of the weaker teams out of the 8 right out the gate, and that momentum can continue forward more and more and more. Now, obviously, as to whether they can stay undefeated is still questionable, because as I'm going to double check really quick as to who their opponent is for week 4, because it could be someone like Dead Blossom or Cuddle Puddle, and it could be a situation where it's like, hey, maybe you have to be in a situation where you face someone that tough before you're even there.
Right, I mean, that very well could be the case, but we are going to cut to a quick break here, and we should have an interview with somebody from Solar-Eclipse in the next few minutes here, so don't go anywhere. You'll want to hear from them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the other side of this quick matchup we had here tonight. Solar-Eclipse taking another 3-0, do it against Emerald Eagles, keeping the Golden Stage alive. Only one of 3 teams to not drop a map up to this point. And so far, looking like the stage is set for a mid-season playoff appearance. And joining us for a quick little interview, a couple of members over on the side of Solar-Eclipse. We got Cloud Lemon and Henry joining us. And first and foremost, congratulations on another dominant win.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, and obviously going to a situation where it's, for y'all, business as usual. These have gone really well for Solar-Eclipse the last couple of seasons. And now for Solar-Eclipse, it is a team that is looking for their 3rd straight win here when it comes to the Diamond tier. So going into the season, were the expectations just naturally super high, going with a lot of confidence, or was a scenario where like, hey, we still have to take this very serious. We have to come in giving it everything we've got.
I think me personally, I take everything serious. I just have try-hard Korean blood in my veins, so I have to. But I think we were a little bit more relaxed, definitely. But we're not about to lose a map.
All right. Could definitely tell that from watching y'all play for sure. And I would say as well, my question is going to err more on the side of the new players and what that has been like as far as, because the roster has changed up a good bit from season to season. And what do you think has been the challenge, adapting all these new players and trying to help them fit in?
As one of the new players, I think our main challenge has just been really just synergy, as per usual. That's what happens. But I think Paper's been doing a pretty good job as coach leader kind of thing, and we've been being really good in synergy terms that way.
Yeah, I took like a 3-month break. So I came in like a week or two before the season started. So it's been a awesome journey of re-synergizing with these new players. The last season, a lot of our players moved up. So yeah, it's been fun for sure.
All right. And you just mentioned a second ago that you guys aren't going to drop a map. So does that mean you're not really? So is there any team that is looking like they might be kind of challenging to you? Because even next week you're going against what was it? Wawa Gaming, I believe, that hasn't dropped a map either, I don't think.
I think pre-midseason playoffs, that's probably going to be our hardest team for regular season. For the whole season overall, definitely stalemate. And that's going to be our week 8 game. For just in general, out of all the teams, probably Death Blossom, just like last season. I think they're the other team besides us that could contend for a championship.
No, I can 100% see it going down that way. Watched a lot of those battles from last season as well, thankfully, so it would be exciting to see a little bit some of those close ones once again. But of course, the season going well for y'all. It seems to keep trending that way. Mid-season playoffs is, I believe, a guarantee at this point, because if I'm not mistaken, it is top 8, so nothing in the realm could really happen to take y'all out of that. So just going into that mid-season tournament, what's the confidence level like? Obviously, y'all haven't dropped the map yet. There's a possibility you go in continuing that situation. So just what's the overall vibes going into the mid-season tournament?
I think pretty high, but not too high. We have played against some other teams in this season, and I think there's a lot of potential for quite a match going on for this future. But I'm pretty nervous about it though.
Yeah, I think we've been taking it a lot more relaxed until next week, and we're planning on ramping things up, doing more scouting and doing scrimming more in preparation.
Fantastic to hear, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of that mid-season playoff action. But of course, we want to let y'all be able to go celebrate here shortly. But before we send you both on your way, if there's anything just you want to share with the audience, anybody you want to be able to shout out, we're just going to open up the floor and allow you to do so.
I have one shout out, and it's Shelby. And I just want to say, you are stunning, Shelby.
Shelby's
and I hope
amazing.
you have a great day today.
Yeah. I think that is the perfect person to shout out. There's no one else really.
There's just that random other person named Shelby watching right now that it's like, are they talking about me?
Not random.
Shout out you, Shelby. Shout out you.
Oh, what a beaut.
All right. I'll get the context on that later on. But once more, congratulations on keeping your season perfect. See if it continues that way. And of course, best of luck going forward with the mid-season playoffs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care now. There they go. You know what? I like that. I like the way they're approaching this, honestly, because you would figure some teams will go and cocky if it's like, hey, we've run back-to-back seasons, you know. But no, they're very level-headed. They're very keeping the expectations of, hey, we got to treat this as if we didn't just win the last 2 seasons. We got to continue to take it at that face value.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a lot of new players at this point. So, you know, you almost do have to run it back like it's a new team at that point. So I like the energy that they're coming with. There is still that correct level of nervousness, and you're like identifying your opponents. You can tell exactly who's looking like that threat for you. So I think they're still going to have a really solid chance of winning this tier again.
Yeah, possibility I think is still very much alive, and I think will be for the entirety of the season. It'd be shocking to not see them be in a good position by the end of the season. But obviously, we saw those other teams like Cuddle Puddle, like Death Blossom, like Wawa Gaming, that we get to look out for and see how they perform in the midseason tournament. But obviously, Shadowfang, as much as I would love to stay up all night, cast the entirety of Diamond NA right here and now, it can't happen. It's not realistic. Headrammer's not giving us the scripts, unfortunately. He said I gotta pay him $50 or something like that. I just can't do it. It's not in my blood.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Last thing I want to add is, again, you know, just keep your eyes on the notifications. We do stream almost every day of the week. So there is going to be another stream tomorrow. You will see me again tomorrow. If you're into that, you know, that's totally up to you. But yeah, and we're going to have games all through the weekend as well. So just turn those notifications on, pay attention to the Discord server, so on and so forth for any future games.
Yeah, 100%. We're trying to cover anything and everything we can, especially when we get into mid-season tournament, where we want to cover every game humanly possible, give y'all as much content as we possibly can give you, because we appreciate y'all coming out and supporting CGL every single time we go live on the air. But when it comes to the night, I want to thank y'all very much for being here. Of course, thanks to our production crew as well. Luau helping producing, and Echo and Megalas helping out with some observing. So love to see it here. But once more, thank y'all. Have a fantastic night. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for some more CGL action.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from him. He's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters tier.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Annabelle immediately to back like fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3. So back and forth.